Hi guys, this is Tech Howdy. I welcome you to another video tutorial on creating an ASP.NET Core application with Angular 7. In the last video tutorial, we installed the DataTable package, the Angular DataTable package, and also initialized the DataTable options in the NGOnIt method. We also have created a directive for our DataTable element and created a trigger for the to render the items or the data that we receive from our product service. So as soon as the products component loads, we need to make sure that we load the products inside this table, and this table is converted into a data table. So to do that, first thing that we want to do is in the initialize method, that is the NGOnIt method, we need to go ahead and assign the value of the products to our observable type of product property that we created. So here we have created a products dollar property, which is of type observable product, which basically contains product array of observable type. So which method in product service returns that array? So let's go back to our services folder and go to the product service.ts. Now, if you look at this product service.ts, you will see that the getProducts method inside the product service.ts returns an observable type of product array. So we will call this method and then assign the value that is returned to our product list component ts property, that is products dollar. So to do that, we will first call the products property, and now to call the method getProducts, we obviously have to initialize an object of type product service, instantiate an object of type product service, and you all know the drill. We do that inside the constructor of our class. So inside the constructor of our class, we need to create an object of type product service. So let's do that. So here I have created a object called as product service, which is of type product service. As soon as I created the object, I should have an import statement here. Otherwise, I'm going to get an error that product service is not found. So the import statement has been added, and now the product service is imported from my services folder /product.service. Now I shouldn't see any error. Now I can use this product service object. So let's call the product service object and then call the get products method, which returns observable type of product array. Now when this product array is returned, the values will be assigned to our this dot products. But you see that we are getting an error over here, and the error is because the value, the property is called as products dollar, and which holds which is of type observable. So the naming convention, you have to be very careful. So the product property will only store the product array, whereas the products dollar property will store the observable product array. So now this makes sense. So we have got rid of the error. The next property that we would need is to assign the values of the products that we received to the products array. So this products dollar contains an observable type of product array. We need to make sure that is converted into a product array. So what we want to do is we want to subscribe to the values of products. So product dollar dot, we will call the subscribe method, and what we want to do inside the subscribe method is use some lambda expression where the result that we get from the products dollar, we want to assign that result to, this is a lambda expression, assign that result to our products So now if you see, what I have done over here is I have assigned the value of the products observable type to this products array, which is a regular product array. And by doing this, now I will have, whenever I want to access the list of products, I can access it through this products object here. The next thing that I want to do is, now I want to make sure that since I have all the products now load these products inside the data table. And here is where we are going to use this trigger to load the products inside the data table. And calling the DT trigger manually will render this onto the table. So DT trigger, and then we will call the dot next method, and by doing that, the value of these products can be then loaded onto the DT trigger data table. So we can see that inside our browser, but it's not going to work because I think we should also get an error here. Go to the console. Yep, we are getting error because the products are coming from our database and we have not yet started the database. So let me just go ahead and start my container for my database. So let's do that. Let's start the SQL server, which contains my database. And still it's not going to load even if my server is up and running. So it's still starting. So now it's started. So the get products method. So I'm getting an unauthorized error here. Why do you think I'm getting an unauthorized error? Obviously because whenever I'm trying to access get products inside my application, I have made a condition that only users who are authenticated and authorized can access the product list. So unless the users are authenticated and authorized, they cannot view the products list. So whenever you are making a call to this products API, you need to supply the token, the JWT token, and therefore we have to make sure that we attach that token to the request. We will learn the process of attaching the token to the request, but before that, you might also notice that we have called the DT trigger on my data table, but I'm still seeing a bootstrap table. Even though the products are not loading, I should still be able to see a data table instead of a regular bootstrap table because I don't see that. I don't see the sorting options and I don't see the view of a data table. I don't see the search box, nothing. Why is that? That's because in my UI of product list component, that's the product list component.html, I have not used the attributes for data tables, and I need to specify to my HTML that, listen, this is a data table, this is not a regular table. And how do I do that? To do that, I will have to use some data table attributes. So let's do that. So here where you see the table tag, here we need to specify that this is a data table. So we're going to say data table, and then we want to use the attribute. So this attribute will be called as our DT options, because when we load the table, we have specified that we want to initialize the following options. So the options are contained inside the DT options. So the attribute here needs to be DT options and it's equal to DT options. So these attribute tags are under Angular data tables. So since you have installed the package Angular data tables, and when you use these attributes, you will not get any error. And if you have not installed the package for Angular data table and you use these attributes, then you will get an error in your console. So using the DT options attribute, I'm specifying to get the data table options from the data table options property. And the next thing is the trigger. So we have a DT trigger attribute that we set to render the data inside the table that is coming from the DT trigger property. So we know that the DT trigger is responsible to render the data only after the data is fetched. Now we have a table class, which is a regular class, and we have style. Next thing that we want to do is here inside the column, which is currently blank. So our columns contain no data inside them. So if I go to my products view, and if you see that I'm getting an error now, that's because the options and these I have added the options, and obviously I'm going to get an error because we have not yet created the options. So now we have to do that. So let's do that. So here this columns are all empty. Now let's fill these columns with the required data. Now where are we getting that data from? Our data for all the products is stored inside the products property. So the products dollar property gets the observable type of data, and then it assigns it by using the subscribe method to this products array. So let's use a for loop here, an Angular for loop, to loop through that products array. ng4 and inside ng4, to loop inside the products object or the products array, we will say let product of products. So this product is basically a keyword. You can use anything, like you can use P or you can use item, but the naming convention here makes sense because we want to loop through a single product. So let product of products, and then each product we need to display inside this column. So each product property, I mean. So to display the product property, we will use two curly braces here and call this item, this key that we have used for accessing the product properties, dot the product ID, and then we will fill these remaining columns with the required properties as well. So let's add this. So product dot name, because the second column is for name, first column is for ID, and product dot name, we will use a pipe here, and using the pipe we will convert this name into uppercase. We will use the uppercase pipe. Then here we want to, inside the third column, I want to display the description of the product. So let's call product dot description, and then we have the in stock. Now in stock is a boolean, right? So it's either going to be true or false. So how do I display? Do I want to display true or false in the column, or do I want to display yes or no? So in stock, basically we are saying if the product is in stock, so we want to say yes or no. So the way we will do that, we will convert the boolean into yes no option is by saying true. If true equals to product dot the property is out of stock. So if you are wondering, you have not watched the previous video tutorials where I'm getting this property from, we have created an interface for product, and all these properties are here. Product ID, name, description, out of stock, price, and image URL. It's very important that you watch previous video tutorials before you start watching this video tutorial. But if you are familiar with where I'm getting these values from, then you can go ahead and start watching the video from here itself. So out of stock property, so out of stock, so, and then what we want to display yes or no, so we will use a condition here, that is if this condition is true, which is if the out of stock value is true, then we want to display no, and if it is false, then we want to display yes. So if product is out of stock is equal to true, then we display yes, product is out of stock. If product is out of stock is not true, then we'll display no, product is not out of stock. That means the user can go and order that product. And finally, we have actually the in stock is going to be the third. So I missed this column, sorry for that. So I'll just cut this from here and paste it here instead. And now then we have the price column. So we have to display the price here. So again, guys, we are going to make use of the pipe here because we want to display price, and price should be displayed in decimal. Okay, so we will use the currency pipe over here. So let's use the currency pipe. Now inside currency pipe, we can specify how we want to display, how many decimals we want to display, what type of currency we want to display. So I am in Canada, so I will say that display the currency as Canadian dollar. So I will use the Canadian, that is CAD key, and then for the symbol I will use the symbol narrow, and then I will specify how many decimal places I want to show. After decimal, how many digits I want to show. So here I will say 0.2. Now to get more information on Angular pipes, go to the Angular's official website and search for currency pipes, and you will be taken to this page where you'll get list of information on different types of pipes that can be used in Angular, like uppercase, lowercase, currency, and so on. So you can go ahead, play around with it. There are also date pipes available if you're using showing a date in one column. So go ahead, play around with it. And now I'm going back to my application here, and I'm going to save this. Now the next thing that I want to do inside my application is the image. The image is basically going to be the interface property image URL, which is a string, which is the URL of the image that I'm going to use. So for that, obviously we have to use the source attribute, that is source in HTML, but this is Angular, so I'm going to use the source attribute with the brackets here, and the source is going to come from product, that's this product here, product dot the image URL property, products dot the image URL property. So now that is it for the source. Now we also have to make sure that if there is a URL existing, sometimes you will add the product and it is null. That means the value of this URL is none. So the user has not uploaded an image. So we have to make sure that only if there is an image you add the source. So for that I will use an NGIF tag. So NGIF equals to only if there is product dot image URL. So if there isn't product dot image URL, then only there will be the source added. Otherwise it's just going to be a blank column there. Okay, so now we have the data inserted inside the columns for our product. And here for the buttons, as you see, we have used the font icon tags here, but we have not yet installed the font awesome package, so we have to do that. And let's go ahead and install the font awesome package. But before we install the font awesome package, let's go back to our application and fix this. We have come across errors like this many times, and one of the video tutorial that where we had an error like this was in the registration component. When we were designing it, we were getting an error where the module was not found. And if you have watched all my video tutorials, you should know that we have to first import the modules. We have used the modules inside the component, but we have not imported these modules inside the root of our application. Unless we have imported it into the root of our application, the components cannot use it. They need to be exported. They need to be exported to other components. Therefore, first we have to import it. If the root of our application, that's the root component, is not exporting the DataTables component, even though we are able to use it here, we will still get an error because the application will look for it in the root. So let's go back to our app module.ts, and now we have to import the data table directive. So let's do that. So here let's import the DataTables module, and then here DataTables, we need to import DataTables module. So let's import it, add it to the import array. By doing this, what's going to happen is the other components now will be able to import it because it's included in the imports array. Now let's save this and try to see in the browser if we still get any errors when we try to access the products view. I'm still getting an error, so let's fix these errors. So as we see here that when we are trying to access products, the products module TS class will take care of all the required components or all the required module classes, correct? Because it's routing through a different route now. So inside the products module, we have not imported data tables. So let's go ahead and do that. We have to import it to the app route and to the products module, because a product module.ts file is looking after the route views for the product related components. So let's import it here. So let's add it here and also then add it to the imports array, and then save this, go back here, try to access products. And now if you see, the number of errors have been reduced. And let's see what is the other errors we are getting. So we are getting an error here, the uppercase. Okay, the spelling. So let me go ahead and to the product list component, the HTML. I have spelled uppercase wrong. Okay, it should be uppercase, not uppercase. So I'm going to save this. Go back here. Go back to products again. I'm sorry guys, I should have tested this before, but it's good we learn how to debug. So now if you notice that the errors are gone, but we also don't see a table, a row over here. That's because our row is generated from the data that we are getting from the products API. And for that, we need to be authorized. So we are unauthorized, which means we have not yet logged into the application. We don't have a JWT token, and we cannot see the list of products unless we give that token to the server so that it can give us access to the list of products. So in the next video tutorial, guys, we will learn how we can log in and then attach this token to this product API call that we are making. Okay, so if you click on this, you can see get products, the headers, and it say we are getting 401 unauthorized response. That means we are not authorized to view it. That's how we have coded this application. If somebody is not logged in and somebody is not has a specific user role, they cannot view the product component. So next video tutorial, we will learn how we can how we can attach the token after we log into all the API calls that are made. So please like and subscribe my channel. And the code for this video tutorial once again will be available in my DevOps repo, and the link will be in the video description. Thank you.